exit, silhouetted by the dim moonlight trickling through the library window. He towered over her, though her 3-inch pumps boosted her to a respectable 5'7". She hated the way her chest clenched so close to him, glad for the moment she couldn't see how enticing he looked in a tuxedo. But he was one of those guys who looked hot in anything he wore, whether he was dressed in jeans and a t-shirt, with his muscles stretching the thin fabric, or draped in an expensive designer suit.
"I was looking for you. I sent a text."
"Sorry, I had my phone on silent during the party." She hoped he couldn't tell from the wobble in her voice she'd been crying. "Technically, I'm not working tonight." Her boss was driven and would probably work around the clock if he could. He even dictated to her while he was exercising in his private gym. Not that she minded the scenery. She must have done a poor job of hiding her frustration because his voice went contrite.
"I'm sorry, Stephanie. I wanted your take on the reactions when I made the merger announcement. I should have warned you ahead of time so you'd notice the details. Were you watching?"
Her stomach fell into her gut as she realized why she'd been invited in the first place. She'd been so thrilled to find her name on the exclusive guest list for the annual spring gala, thinking he was finally beginning to see her as more than an employee. He'd even insisted she buy a new dress at his expense. She'd purchased the exquisite designer gown with growing excitement, especially when he asked her to describe it to him in detail and suggested she come early to the party. For a few days, she'd allowed herself to believe the fairy tale might come true, hoping Branson Knight was actually interested in dating her. She'd swallowed her lumpy pride when she arrived, only to be greeted by Bran's girlfriend, who looked her over as if her clothes had come from the refuse pile. Karina was one of those girls, beautiful, rich, and successful. No doubt she'd been homecoming queen, head cheerleader, class president, and valedictorian. Only the remembered words of Steph's mama kept her from creating a Karina voodoo doll and sticking it with pins. "Now, Stephanie, don't judge people. Every mean person has a sad secret hidden inside." But it wasn't Karina's snobby attitude that had hurt Steph's feelings. What tore her apart was recognizing the obvious truth. Bran wasn't interested in her. He simply wanted her to be his spy. The new dress was only part of her disguise, because Branson assumed, correctly, she had nothing in her closet that would allow her to blend in with the other affluent guests. As usual, with Bran it was strictly business. "I was watching. I paid attention, even though I didn't realize I was still on the clock." More perturbed by the second she couldn't resist a dig. "But which merger announcement were you referring to? Your takeover of Reston Incorporated, or your engagement to Karina Parker?" He seemed to wince, though the moonlight didn't illuminate his face clearly. She didn't need to see him. She knew his face by heart, from the arch of his brows to the angle of his carved jaw, which was smooth-shaven tonight, though his customary style sported a slight beard, one she thought made him look even more rugged and masculine.
"The business announcement, of course. My engagement isn't important."
"Not important? You're getting married, and you don't think that's going to impact your life?" His hand came up and pushed through his dark hair, leaving the ends sticking up like pieces of straw in his shadowed silhouette. She almost reached up to smooth them, but caught herself at the last second. His head was shaking slowly back and forth.
"The marriage will be mutually beneficial to both of us. Living together won't change anything."
He spoke as if it were a business transaction. Her next words spilled out before she could stop them. "Wouldn't it be cheaper to hire someone by the hour?" When she saw him stiffen, the hair stood up on the back of her neck. This time she'd gone too far.
"Perhaps you're right, Ms. Caldwell."
He spoke as calmly as if he were reciting a grocery list.
"Were you volunteering for the job? What are your hourly rates?"
All the oxygen rushed out of the room, leaving her so lightheaded she had to grab the doorframe to stay upright. Her chin lifted as she glared at him, ineffectually. "You couldn't afford me, Mr. Knight."